How many types of errors are there? Three types. What are those? Compile time errors, runtime errors, and logical errors. Okay. Syntax errors are compile time or runtime or logical error. Compile time error. Exceptions are runtime errors. How many types of exceptions are there? Two types. What are those? Checked exception, unchecked exception. Two types of exception. Two types of exception. How to identify when we have to handle these all I'll explain. Just I given notes yesterday. Next. Note on the hierarchy of exception classes. The hierarchy of exception classes. The hierarchy of exception classes. Note on. Note on this one. The hierarchy of exception classes. The hierarchy of exception classes. Nodu. Object, throwable, exception, IO exception, interpreter exception, SQL exception, runtime exception, index out of bounds exception, arithmetic exception, illegal argument exception, array index out of bounds exception, number format exception. These all classes. Each word first letter is capital, no space between words. Write clearly. Each word first letter is capital and no space between words. Each word first letter is capital and no space between words. These all classes. All are classes. Is it over? Yesterday I given notes about this. Yesterday I given notes. According to notes, I'll explain. How many types of exceptions are there? 2 types. What are those? Checked exceptions, unchecked exceptions. Okay. Now, checked exception, first point, what I given, see. First point. The exception classes that are derived from java.lang.exception class are called checked exception. See, the exception classes that are derived from java.lang.exception class are called checked exception. That is a given. If you see that point here, all are derived from exception class only, no? All are derived from exception class only. But one more point I given, second point. See, checked exceptions do not include, checked exception do not include runtime except java.lang.runtime exception class and its subclasses. So this class not included. These subclasses not included. This part only checked exceptions. This part only checked exceptions. Okay. This part only checked exceptions. First point, second point about checked exceptions, you observe. The exception classes that are derived from java.lang.exception class are called checked exceptions. If you see only first point, this is exception class, all derived from exception class only. Then it becomes all checked exceptions only. If you see only first point. Second point, checked exceptions do not include runtime exception class and its subclasses. That is second point. That's what this is, this part not included in checked category. Unchecked exception, first point read. The exception classes that are derived from java.lang.runtime exception class are called unchecked exception. So this part is unchecked. This part is unchecked exceptions. See, if the class is derived from exception class, that is called checked exception. If the class is derived from runtime exception class, that is called unchecked exception. But runtime exception also derived from exception, but not included. Okay. Now it is just a sample. Just here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. Just 5, 8 exceptions are there. That's it. But in Java library, thousands of exceptions are there. Java library. Now, if I give any exception that is checked or unchecked, we have to see that in Java P command you can see. If the class is derived from exception class, checked. If the class is derived from runtime exception class, unchecked. But runtime exception derived from exception, but it is not considered under checked. Okay. Now, here 8 exceptions I given. Here 3 exception checked. Here 5 exception unchecked. But not only 8, thousands of exceptions are there. Thousands of exceptions are there. Okay. If the class is derived from this class, you can understand it is checked. If the class is derived from this class, you can understand there is unchecked. That is unchecked. Like that, you can identify. Okay. After that, next point, checked category. Third point, what I can see? All checked exceptions must be handled by programmer explicitly. Otherwise, compile time error occurs. So, in your program, checked exception is there. You must handle. That means you must write try catch blocks. Otherwise, compile time error. That is syntax. Okay. Suppose in your program, checked exception is there. Then that exception you must handle. System will not handle. You have to handle. Compulsory. Suppose if you don't handle, what will happen? Compile time error occurs. Actually, exception means runtime error. Runtime error, if you don't handle, compile time error occurs. That will happen. Say, every statement must be terminated with semicolon. Is it syntax or not? Yes. If you don't write semicolon, what will happen? Compile time error. Every checked exception must be handled. It is syntax. If you don't handle, compile time error. Got it? Now, in your program, checked exception is there. You must write try catch block. If you don't write try catch block, compile time error occurs. But in my program, exception is there or not, how to identify? How to explain? Not completed. Okay. Now, is it compulsory to handle unchecked exception? Next point you see in unchecked exception category. No. Handling unchecked exceptions are optional by programmer because all unchecked exceptions are handled by system implicitly. This category, no need to handle. No need to handle. It is handled by system implicitly. Unchecked exceptions are handled by system implicitly. Programmer, no need to handle. But one more point I given. Next point. Read. Unchecked exceptions are handled by programmer explicitly to display user-friendly error messages only. Now, unchecked exception also in program will handle. Why? I'll explain. Now, writing is over. This all. These three checked. These 5 unchecked. Okay. IO exception, interpret exception, SQL exception comes under checked. Remaining these 5 comes under unchecked. Now, yesterday one program I given. That is you didn't write. That is you didn't write. Say file open. Suppose integer a equal to integer dot parseInt args of 0. Integer b equal to integer dot parseInt args of 1. Okay, I'll write integer c equal to a by b. system.out.println C. Okay. Now file, save. I'll compile. Java C demo.java. Program successfully compiled. Successfully compiled means there is no syntax error. Java demo 10 2. 10 received, 2 received here. 10 and 2 both are received. 10 is aux of 0. 2 is aux of 1. Here 10 stored, here 2 stored. 10 by 2, 5. 5 printed. There is no exception. There is no syntax error. There is no logical error. 10 by 2 result is 5. 10 by 2 result is 5. 10 by 2 result is 5. Okay. Now, program successfully compiled means there is no syntax error. Program successfully executed and you are getting right output means there is no runtime error. There is no logical error. Wrong output coming means logical error. And the program exception message coming means runtime error. Now, successfully everything clear. Suppose file, save. I'll compile. I'll execute without arguments. Then one exception occurred. Array index out of bounds exception. Suppose if I pass ABC XYZ, one more exception, number format exception. Suppose 10 0, something by 0, something by 0 infinite. A value 10, B value 0. 10 by 0 infinite. Infinite cannot be stored in C. One exception comes, arithmetic exception, divided by 0. Okay. These 3 exceptions are unchecked exceptions given in the hierarchy. Array index out of bounds exception, number format exception, arithmetic exception. These all unchecked exceptions. We didn't handle. It is handled, displayed. Okay. But first of all, in my system, how many exceptions are there? How to identify? Now, in this program, how many library methods we are using? First, give me answer. In this program, how many predefined methods are there? First, give answer. How many predefined methods are there? Which is predefined, which is user defined, you don't know? You can give answer, no? Give answer. In this program, how many predefined methods we used? What happened to you? Predefined, user-defined methods, can you identify or not? Give me an answer. Percent is predefined. Next, only percent. Println is predefined. Println also method only. Next, toString implicitly present. That is also predefined. Okay. Any other is there? Any other is there? Any other predefined method? Main method is not predefined. Main method we are defining. Open brace, close brace, we are writing, no? Main method name only fixed, but we are defining. This is called definition. Name is not main is not predefined. Main method is user defined method. Main method, predefined method is wrong. Every day we are defining main method. Open brace, close brace, we are writing. It is predefined, it is user defined. Main name only fixed, but we are going to define. We are defining. Every day we are writing open brace, close brace. So how many predefined methods are there totally here? You give an answers also again. Percent is a predefined. Println is a predefined. Here dot toString is a predefined. Dot toString doesn't appear implicitly present. Total how many predefined? 3 predefined methods. Now, if I give any program in that, how many predefined, how many user defined, can you identify or not? Possible or not? Possible. User defined means user is going to define with open brace, close brace. Now, main method we defined, that is user defined. But are you writing %, open brace, close brace? No, that is predefined. Are you writing println, open brace, close brace? No, that is predefined. Here implicitly dot to string, that is predefined. Okay, predefined means already defined. User defined means you are going to define. You are defining means you will write open brace, close brace. Okay. Now, in this program, 3 predefined methods are there. Now, those 3 methods I'll open. ParseInt method I'll open. Java P java.lang.integer. ParseInt method in which class? Integer class. Here. ParseInt method in integer class. This is. Now you observe. ParseInt method, is it accessible? ParseInt method, is it accessible? How do you know? Public. Is it instance method or class method? Class method. How do you know? Static. What is the return type of parseInt method? Int. How many parameters? 1. Which type? String type. Like this, you are giving answers, no? Public. It is accessible. Static. Class method. Integer. Return type. ParseInt. Method name. String. Parameter. Like that, you are giving answer. Now, if I ask whether it is a throwing exception or not, yes, because throws keyword. Throws keyword is there, there is the exception. Throws keyword is not there, there is no exception. Now, is parseInt method throwing exception? Yes. How do you know? Throws. Which exception? Number format exception. Number format exception is checked or unchecked? Unchecked. No need to handle. Like this, we can identify there is an exception. Println method. Till I didn't explain about this line. Println method, just after 1-2 days you'll learn. Println method available in printstream class. Java.io.printstream. That is separate package, print.io package. Println method, you see. Println method, integer method. This is. Now, println method, is it accessible? Yes. How do you know? Public. Is it instance method or class method? Instance method. How do you know? There is no static. What is the return type? Void. It doesn't return. How many parameter? 1. Which type? Integer. Will it throw exception? No, there is no exception because there is no throws keyword. Okay. Here toString method called toString. Args of 0, which type? String type. String class toString. Java P java.lang.string. In Java P java.lang.string, here toString method is there. Now, toString method, is it accessible? Yes. How do you know? Public. Is it instance method or class method? Instance method. How do you know? There is no static. What is the return type? String. How many parameters? No parameter. Will it throw exception? No. Now, in this program, how many exceptions you identified? 1. 1 only identified, no? That is number format exception. ParseInt method throwing exception. Println not throwing. toString method not throwing. You identified 1 exception, but I have shown 3 exceptions. Say, if you compile, if you execute like this, 1 exception coming. If you execute like this, 1 exception coming. If you execute like this, 1 exception coming. I have shown like with library, 1 exception you identified, but remaining 2 execution different style. If you execute, you are getting. Say, while writing Java program, compulsory we require predefined methods. While developing applications, compulsory we require predefined methods. You will write predefined method. seen that predefined method, you will understand whether exception is there or not using throws keyword. Like that, you will identify. After identifying whether it is checked or unchecked, you have to find out. If it is checked, compulsory, try catch. If it is unchecked, not compulsory. Like that, you have to follow. But remaining two, how will identify? Now, I have shown 3 exceptions are there, but with library, one only you identified. Remaining two, identified by testing people. Testing people, what they'll do, this program different ways they'll test. At that time, many errors may comes. At that time, they'll inform to Java programmer. So, all exceptions you are not going to identify. Some exception you are going to identify, some exceptions testing people are going to be identified. Then they'll inform to programmer. Testing people, what is their duty? Identifying errors only, no? So they'll identify errors. Say, programmer, what he has to do? Always it has to write error-free program. Always he should think about program in a proper way. Okay? Like programmer, he has to write error-free program. When programmer will be happy? When errors are not there. Okay? When testing people will be happy? If error comes. Okay? Their duty that one only. Okay? So they'll identify errors. You are going to solve the errors. That is your duty. Okay? Testing people, they'll identify errors. Those errors also they'll inform to programmer. They'll execute program in different angles, different ways they'll execute. They'll identify some error, they'll inform to programmer. Present, you identified one error. That is array index or number format exception. That is checked or unchecked, we have to see. How to see? With the Java P command, you can see. Java P, java.lang.number format exception. Okay. Now, number format exception extends illegal argument exception. Illegal argument exception. Illegal argument exception. Illegal argument exception extends runtime exception. It is called unchecked exception. So, in this program, you identified one exception, that is number format exception. Throws keyword, seen this throws, parse in throws, number format exception. With that, you identified. After that, it is checked or unchecked, identified. It is unchecked. Is it compulsory to handle? No. No need to handle. Because system handles. Now, while executing the program, you may pass like this. Then you'll get a number format exception. This is handled by system implicitly. But one more point I given, you read in unchecked exception category yesterday. Handling unchecked exceptions are optional by programmer, because all unchecked exceptions are handled by system implicitly. But one more point I given, next point. Unchecked exceptions are handled by programmer explicitly to display user-friendly error message only. So this exception also we have to handle. What purpose we have to handle? To display user-friendly error message. What exactly user-friendly error message here? Say, for example, one small example I'll explain. Listen, what is the purpose of unchecked exception handling? You will understand. Suppose one supermarket company. Listen. Supermarket company. Supermarket company, they are maintaining their transactions manually. Assume. They want to make it computerization. Okay? They want to make it computerization. Then what they'll do? They'll approach one company, software company, to make it project. Okay? Then, or they may approach to one Java programmer also. A small project is there, project also, one programmer also will approach. Now, if it is very big project, they'll approach to software company. Now, supermarket people, they are maintaining their transactions manually. They want to make it computerization. They'll approach to one software company to develop project. What they'll do? Their requirements, they'll explain to programmer. Whatever they required, they'll explain to programmer. Then programmer is going to develop project. Like this project developed. Okay. Project developed. This project unchecked exceptions are not handled. Not handled. Okay. Project is developed. After that, this project, who is going to operate? This programmer is going to sit in supermarket? No. So operator. Operator is going to operate? No. No. Operator, he knows Java? He doesn't know Java. For operator, Java knowledge not required. For operators, English knowledge required, typing knowledge required. That's it. They don't require Java. They are not learning any courses. Okay. Now, operator. First, what they'll do, they'll explain to operator how to operate. Separate marketing team will be there. They'll explain. They'll present the project. Then they'll explain. Year, enter year. You'll get an annual report. Enter month, monthly report. Enter date, daily report, and enter stock details, item details, like that. They'll explain to operator. Operator is going to operate. While operating, suppose item name he has to, item number he has to enter. By mistake, item name entered. Item number he has to enter. By mistake, item name entered. What will happen? Like this, number format exception comes. One message comes. Actually, what he has to pass? Item number. By mistake, what he passed? Item name. Then exception in thread main java.lang number format exception. Like this message comes. Will you understand? What is exception? What is thread? What is main? He cannot understand because he doesn't know Java. He doesn't know Java. Exception means runtime error. He doesn't know. Seeing this error message, what he'll understand? Our programmer not developed project properly. That's what this type of message coming. He'll think like that only because he doesn't know Java. Seeing this message, what he'll understand? Programmer not developed project properly, he'll understand. But actually his mistake also is there. He has to enter item number. By mistake, he entered name. Then this message came. Then what he'll understand? Programmer not developed program properly, they'll understand. The project not developed properly, they'll understand. That's what operator understandable format. You write one message. Suppose he entered item number place, item name entered. Then display one message. Please pass item number. Instead of this message, you display simple English message. You display simple English message. Please pass item number. See in that message, you can pass item number, no? That's what we have to handle. That is called user-friendly error message. User has to understand. User has to understand. Okay. Now listen with concentration. Few people are concentrating on mobile only. You observe. Those who are concentrating, you know very well. No need to point out. Okay. I observed two members. Two members I observed. See here. Unchecked exception, checked exception. Two exceptions. Now unchecked exception also we have to handle to display user-friendly error message. User understandable format, we have to write simple English message. But Sun Micro system only can give simple English message. You know why they given this message? Instead of this message, directly simple English message is there. Programmer no need to handle. Possible, no? But our Java not only for supermarket. Okay. So if it is suppose please pass item number, if it is comes, then what will happen? In bank application, he has to pass account number. By mistake, account holder name passed. Then what will happen? Again, please pass item number comes. So that will happen. In an insurance company application, policy number will be there. There also item number comes. That is the reason they didn't write. You have to write. If supermarket project is there, write the message supermarket related. If the bank application is there, write the message bank related. If insurance company project is there, insurance company related message. That is the reason they didn't write simple English message. They written like this only. You handle, you write. That is your duty. Okay. That's what unchecked also you have to handle, checked also you have to handle. Checked if you don't handle, program will not compile. Unchecked if you don't handle, nothing will happen. But user will face the problem. That is the reason unchecked also you have to handle. Okay. Now, Now, this program implicitly handled, but user-friendly error message, if you want to display, you handle explicitly. That purpose we have to handle. Now you observe here how many exceptions occurred? 3. First, compilation, execution. This exception I want to handle. Write one try catch block. Try catch. Array index out of bounds exception. One message. Here system dot err. It is err required. What is err? What is out not completed? I'll explain. Println system dot err dot println. What's the difference between out and err? Also I'll explain. Here, if I write AE, what is AE? What is AE? Object reference. Object reference, if you pass as a parameter to println method, implicitly which method called? Which method? ToString method. ToString, many places will be there. ToString. Here dot ToString will be there. Dot ToString, if you write, say now also same message comes, you observe. File, save. Previously this message, now also same message. Say java.lang.number format exception. 1 minute. Now that array index out of bounds exception, it will come. See, array index out of bounds exception. Without writing try catch, with writing try catch, same coming. Now, if you want to write like this, no need to write try catch. If you want to write simple English message, actually here ToString method calling. Here ToString method, actually it is not there in array index out of bounds exception. You observe java p java.lang. Array index out of bounds exception. See, there is no ToString method. But array index out of bounds exception super class is which class? I given hierarchy. Index out of bounds exception. If not there, what it will do? It will check in super class. Super class. Index out of bounds exception. Is there? No. Again not there. Then again where it will check? Runtime exception. Runtime exception also not there. Then again where it will check? Exception. Is there any ToString? No. Again superclass. Throwable. Here we have ToString. This class ToString called. Here also not there. Object class. Then hash code comes. Then hash code. But you are not getting hash code. You are getting hash code means no need to see the library. It is confirm object class. You are getting other message means you have to see the hierarchy. Superclass, 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 up to object class, you have to search. Okay. If you are getting output hash code, then no need to check the library. It is confirm object class. Object class ToString method always returns hash code. Okay. And now, here actually implicitly like this will be there. Like this implicitly will be there. Now, this code implicitly present, whether you write or not. Now, here what is their runtime exception? Suppose if we don't pass argument, which exception occurs? Are you learning, understanding? If you concentrate, you can understand. Otherwise, not possible. If you don't concentrate, you cannot understand this class, this topic. If you don't concentrate, you cannot understand. If you don't pass arguments, which exception occurs? Array index out of bounds exception occurs. Whenever exception occurs, what will be happen? Open notes. Open. Yesterday I given a point. Whenever exception occurs in a program, I given see. Open notes. Read. Whenever exception occurs in a program, before types of exceptions. Whenever exception occurs in a program, what I given see? Then the related exception class object is created by JVM. After that, pass it to exception handler and exception handler code is executed. See, if we don't pass any argument, array index out of bounds exception occurs. Whenever exception occurs, what will be happen? Object created. If you don't concentrate, this is you cannot understand. Few people are not concentrating. My eyes on everyone. Few students are not listening. You cannot understand, otherwise you observe. Not so easy. Now, once again, that line read, whenever exception occurs in a program, what will happen? Object related exception class object created by JVM. After that, pass it to exception handler and exception handler code is executed. See, if we don't pass argument, which exception occur? Array index out of bounds exception occurs. Then which object created? Array index out of bounds exception object created. So like this created. New array index out of bounds exception. This is, I am not writing, it is automatically created. This is automatically created. After creating, it is passed to exception handler, nothing but catch block. Now, implicitly like this will be there. Open the hierarchy. Open the hierarchy. Here, array index out of bounds exception, runtime exception. In these two, which is superclass, which is subclass? Runtime exception is superclass. Array index out of bounds exception is it is subclass object passed to superclass reference. This concept is called upcasting. With upcasting feature, it will handle. With upcasting feature, it will handle. So, whenever exception occurs, object created. That object passed to catch block. Then catch block code executed. Then error message displayed. Like this occurred. This message came. Suppose, if you pass arguments, but instead of integer, if you pass ABC, XYZ, which exception occurs? Number format exception. Then what will happen? New number format exception. Like this object created. This object passed to catch block. Will it handle here? Which is superclass, which is subclass? Runtime exception is superclass. Number format exception is this object created, this object comes. Here handle, because it is subclass object, it is superclass reference. Okay, it will come, it will handle. Again, this message displayed. Suppose if we pass first argument 10, second argument 0, 10 by 0, which exception occurs? Arithmetic exception occurs. Then arithmetic exception. This object created. This object received by catch block. Now, here runtime exception and arithmetic exception, which is superclass? It is superclass, it is subclass. Subclass object assigned to superclass. it will display error message. Now, if you write catch block like this, that class handled, that subclass is handled, other classes not handled. This class subclasses are called unchecked exceptions. That's what it can handle, only these classes. Suppose in a program IO exception occurred, will it handle? No, because IO exception is not subclass of runtime exception. Okay. Suppose in your program interrupted exception occurred, will it handle? No. So this catch block only implicitly present. That is the reason it can handle only unchecked exceptions. Other exceptions not handled. Is it clear? So implicitly this catch block present. First of all, write this program. I'll give a description. Write this program. Write the program. So try and catch blocks implicitly present like this. So try and catch blocks implicitly present like this. Is it over? Is it over? Like this also write it implicitly. Now, note down compilation, execution. Only this name write it. Remaining no need to write. So compilation write it. Execution like this write it. And this exception write it. Description no need to write. compilation not done, execution not done, and this one not done. Java demo ABC XYZ. Then this one not done, this one not done. Execution like this exception. Java demo 10.0. This one also not done. Over. So if you execute like this, array index bonds exception, because we didn't pass arguments, then array size is 0. Then 0 also you cannot use index bonds. If you execute like this, ABC cannot be converted to integer. That's what number format exception. Something by 0, infinite. 0 by something is 0, but something by 0, infinite. That's what this exception, arithmetic exception. Is it over? Now note down. In the above example, array index out of bounds exception comma number format exception and arithmetic exception are unchecked exceptions. In the above example, array index bound exception, number format exception, and arithmetic exception are unchecked exceptions. The above all unchecked exceptions are handled by system implicitly. The above all unchecked exceptions are handled by system implicitly. To display user-friendly error messages, we can handle as follows. To display user-friendly error messages, we can handle as follows. To display user-friendly error message, we can handle as follows. So user friendly error message purpose, I'm going to handle. How to handle, I'll show you. Is it over? So in the above example, array index out of bound exception, number format exception, arithmetic exception are unchecked. The above all unchecked exceptions are handled by system implicitly. We didn't write any code that is implicitly handled. But to display user friendly error message, we can handle as follows. How to handle? See. Suppose I want to handle array index out of bounds exception. Say something a. Then again, you should not write this toString method. You can write any simple English message. Okay. File save. You observe if you compile, if you execute like this. No, I didn't remove. I didn't write code. If you write only e.toString, if you write, say compilation, execution, if you write like this, array index out of bounds exception occurred. Okay. Now, this array index out of bounds exception, I want to display user friendly error message. Then what I'll do is, I'll write, please pass two arguments, one message. Okay. Now, this message comes. File save. Say file save. Say compilation, now execution. Please pass two arguments. Then operator may pass like this. Please pass two arguments. One more exception. This one also you can handle. Catch number format exception. Now system.err.println. Another message. Please pass two numbers only. Say like this. Please pass two arguments. Please pass two numbers only. E may pass like this. 0 also number one. No? So arithmetic exception. This one also you can write. Catch arithmetic. Please pass second number except 0. See, if you execute like this, please pass two argument. If you execute like this, please pass two numbers only. If you execute like this, please pass second number except 0. Like this. Like this, every exception separate user friendly error message are written. But sometimes for all one message required. That is also I'll show you. First you write this one. So if array index order bounds exception occurred, this message comes. Please pass 2 arguments. If number format exception occurred, this message comes. If arithmetic exception occurred, this message comes. Now, all exceptions we can handle with single catch block. That is runtime exception. You can write heading 1 catch block. Is it over? No done. The above program can also be written as follows. The above program can also be written as follows. The above program can also be written as follows. The above program can also be written as follows. Now, here what is happened? Individual error message. Individual. See, for example, suppose in supermarket, if you don't pass, actually you have to pass one argument. Item number you have to pass. Item number you have to pass. If you don't pass, array index order bound exception occurs. Then you can write message. If you pass wrong input, number place string if you pass, number format exception. Like that, you can write. Some application problem can be anything. One message required. For example, ATM center is there. You will send the request to withdraw money. You will send the request to withdraw money. But first of all, it has to check your account number is there or not. In that account number, balance is there or not. It has to communicate with database. For communicating with database, driver software is there or not. Driver software is there. URL is there or not. Username is valid or not valid. Password is valid or not valid. So many operations checked. Okay. But there are so many exceptions. Driver software not there. Then driver not found exception. And username password is wrong. Then authentication exception. And related to database, SQL exception. Like that, so many exceptions will be there. But problem can be anything. One message comes temporarily out of service. It comes, no? Now you are sending request to withdraw money. But problem may be different problems will be there. But at last on screen, one message comes temporarily out of service. Then what you can do? All exception with single catch block you can handle. You can display that message. Here, what we can do is, instead of writing many catch blocks, write one catch block only. Say one catch block, runtime exception. Runtime exception. Here, system.error.println. One message. Please pass 2 numbers and second number except 0. Now, for this application, this message suitable for all exception. See, suppose if you don't pass, please pass 2 numbers and second number except 0. Directly it's showing please pass 2 numbers, second number except 0, like this. Over. Suppose if you pass ABC XYZ, then also same message. Please pass 2 numbers, second number except 0. If you pass 10 and 0, then also same message. Okay. Previously individual message. Now for all one message. Write this program. Already written message. The above program can be written as follows. So right, continue. Here runtime exception I written. First, is it over? Here runtime exception I written. Whatever you write in the catch block, that class handled, that subclass is handled. Whatever you write here, that class handled, that subclass handled. Okay, because subclass object assigned to superclass, that concept is called upcasting. That's what that class handled, that subclass is handled. Suppose in a catch block, if I write runtime exception, okay, you're already runtime exception only there, no? Now, if you write like this, runtime exception class handled, all subclass of runtime exception handled. That means all subclass of runtime exception class are called unchecked exception. All unchecked exception handled. Will it handle checked exception? No. Suppose catch, if I write exception, E, if I write, now you see the hierarchy. Now, will it handle IO exception? Yes. Will it handle interrupt exception? Will it handle SQL exception? Will it handle number format exception? Think yourself and you answer. Yes or no? How many will answer no? Online students? See, just now I explained, whatever you write, that class handled, that subclass is handled. Number format exception derived from illegal argument exception. Illegal argument exception derived from runtime exception. Runtime exception derived from exception. It is also subclass. That is unchecked, but according to programming syntax, that is also subclass, no? It will handle checked handle, unchecked handle if you write exception. Because in the hierarchy, runtime exception also derived from exception, no? That is called unchecked, but this catch block is exception. All subclass also handled. Will it handle? Yes. It will handle all exceptions. If you write exception, it will handle all exceptions. Because unchecked exception superclass is runtime exception. That superclass is again exception only. In the hierarchy, that is there, no? Now, that is also upcasting. Subclass object, superclass reference. It is also upcasting. It will handle. Okay. Those are all syntaxes examples. Tomorrow class I'll explain. Tomorrow I'll see condition.